Now, during the formation of the group, I believe you guys had another guy that was in the group, Nestor Velasquez, who later on went to do his thing with Uptown Records, releasing the single Personality.
Oh, yeah. Nestor Velasquez was actually the first guy that I had put in the Barrio Boyzz, but someone convinced him that he should go solo. Nestor had a phenomenal voice, and unfortunately, one of the things that show up in a lot of people and that have talent is a character. And, you know, you have to have a good attitude when you're in any kind of business, but people have to back you and get behind you. And Nestor, even though he had an incredible voice, his character and his personality didn't work to his advantage, because he did have a deal with Uptown Records, but a situation happened when Nestor had walked out of the studio, the recording studio, because of a situation with people ordering food. And I think the president of the label, Jarrell, was paying about $400 an hour for studio time. So this guy leaves the studio for about 2 hours to discuss somebody spending like $75 or $80 on food. And to the president of the label was like, I just lost $800 for this guy to tell me about someone spending $75. And that pretty much started the downfall with Nestor's career not doing as well as it could have done, because the song Personality was an incredible song, and he's an incredible talent. But, you know, ever since that time that happened, he never surfaced again in the music industry.
And people, that goes back to the saying, time is money, and money is what, Joe?
Time.
There you go. Now, do you feel that the How We Roll album and the Barrio Boyzz was too ahead of the curve here in the States, because it came out in, I believe, 95, correct?
Right.
And this
around 95.
95. Okay, this was like 2 to 3 years before the boy band explosion here in America, and Backstreet Boys and NSYNC was still formulated and cutting their teeth over in Europe.
Right. Well, the guys, people always told me that I was ahead of my time, you know, with the group, and I pretty much believe that that's the case. You know, when the group came on the scene, there was nothing like them. And the thing that's so incredible, from the time that they have left the music industry, there have not been a group that has been anything like them that can do it in both English and Spanish. And that's why so many years after they have been gone, I teamed up with Maurice Starr, and I'm doing a whole other group that will take on the same name as the Barrio Boyzz, probably call it Barrio Boyz-2, but they'll be hailing out of Orlando, Florida, and this group will be on the scene, and they'll be doing great inroads.
Okay, now, what was the significance of the Latin group Menudo, for those that are not too familiar with the whole Latin culture and the big phenomenon that was Menudo, and still is Menudo, and of course Ricky Martin that came out of there?
Right. Well, Menudo was a phenomenal group, and the thing that the owner did that had Menudo, I think his name was Eduardo Diaz, is when a group member in Menudo turned 16, he had to leave the group, and they would bring a new member in. This way, the group will always stay new, it'll stay young, and it will exist, forever. My thing was to put together a group that would grow with its fan base. So Menudo ran its course, and after a while, I guess, little girls just didn't want to buy into it no more. So now they're back, and Johnny Wright, have their group. But I think that they're not going to do it the way they did it before, as far as letting the guys out the group when they reach a certain age.
Okay.
But, keeping them in there.
Yeah, so basically back then, if you showed a sign of peach fuzz or facial hair, you was out.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't going to work. But, we're living in a different time right now. Kids have matured more, and I guess people like growing with their fans. Mm-hmm. And that's why right now, those new kids on the block have come back together, and some of them are 35, 37 years old, and, their fans want to see them.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. By you working with them the first go-round, are you surprised at the reaction, how the fans have come out in droves for their reunion?
No, I'm not surprised at all. That group was a phenomenon, and anyone that knows the group, and I think Maurice Starr has really shown that he's able to put together, just groups that have some type of magic with them, because New Edition is still one of the biggest groups around, and these guys can come out and go on the road, and people want to see them. They was able to grow with their fans, and I think New Kids on the Block, the music that they had, Maurice is a genius. And the stuff he did with New Kids on the Block, allowed them. People love those songs. Please Don't Go Girl, Did Not Blow Your Mind This Time, Hanging Tough, Step by Step. you know, Baby I Believe in You, you know, they were just great songs. And, you know, to know that this brother had put this group together and what he has brought them from, you know, New Kids on the Block did $1 billion in merchandising alone.
And that's nuts.
It's crazy. You know, imagine the internet didn't even exist back then.
They probably would have made even more money had the internet would have been around in MySpace and all of that.
Exactly. But now, you know, you have all these other things that lend itself to it. You know, a kid had to wait for a video to come on TV in order to watch it. Now they can just download it. They can watch it on YouTube as many times as they want. So the group that he have now, I just think is going to really take off in a big way.
Yeah, Heartbeat Boys. Yeah, just interviewed those guys a while back on the show. Very talented boys, and he's rearing them up like he reared up New Kids on the Block. Start them off grassroots so that they can get prepared for the big impact that they're about to make.
Well, you know, the thing that's so amazing is the gift that God gives people. You know, Maurice only went to the 8th grade, yet the guy plays every instrument. You know, he doesn't read music, but he has perfect pitch with his ears. He's a phenomenal songwriter. You know, he's just a genius. And I just thank God that I had the opportunity to work with him, you know, for him to mentor me. And, you know, I would always just be there for him. There's not one person in the world that could ever tell me anything to change, you know, the way I feel about this brother. You know, he did for me, you know, what my own father didn't even do. I mean, my father gave me life, but this man allowed me to make over $100,000 in 1 year working with him. He took me on the road with him where the post office was paying me $600 a week. He was paying me $1,500 a week, and then teaching me how to, you know, fend for myself. He wasn't handing me fish. He was teaching me how to fish. And he taught me. The reason why I was able to put together a successful group was because of him.
Definitely that, because like I feel that after speaking with Maurice and interviewing him, he's definitely had been getting a bad rap over in the media with what happened with New Kids.
Yeah, you know, people that don't know, you know, I was there, and the thing that's unfortunate is people don't know in this business and in this industry, people, it's almost like the best way to put it is my older brother told me is that conception takes place in a dark place. Because to look at conception and see how, like, sperm will hit an egg and you see it forms a clot of blood, he said that's unattractive. He said, and the fetus is unattractive, and so is the embryo. He said, but once it forms into a baby and the baby is pushed out of the womb into the world, he said people are willing to kill and die for the baby. And unfortunately, when you spend a lot of time to shape and mold something that had no value and it formulates a great value, people who come from everywhere and they want that which you have formed. So if you look at someone like Mike Tyson, when Custom Model took Mike Tyson and Jim Jacobs and Bill Caton, you know, Don King wasn't thinking about Mike Tyson. He didn't see the value in him. This was a guy that was discovered being in the boys' group home. You know, he gotten into a fight with another guy, and Mike Tyson's nose was broken by the young man, and with blood gushing out of his nose, he turned around and knocked the guy out. And a guy went to the phone that worked in the group home and said, hey, Cuss, I think we got the next world champ. Here was Mike Tyson running around, beating people up in Brooklyn, robbing them, and the talent that God gave him was for a greater stage. The same guy years later was getting $30 million for a fight. And then when they shaped him into becoming Iron Mike, everybody wanted him. Everybody wanted to touch him. But when he was in Brooklyn, nobody wanted him but those three people, Custom Model, Jim Jacobs, and Bill Caton. So when Maurice put together New Edition, he had guys from Roxbury, from Dorchester, from the project. No one paid no mind. Just 5 project boys. Put them together, cleaned them up. Next you know, the songs that came, the big songs, Candy Girl, and the other ones that were big hits, now everybody wanted the group. So they convinced everyone that Maurice was taking advantage of them. And actually, he wasn't. You know, New Kids on the Block, they think was people was telling him, oh, you guys are puppets. People always use little tactics in order to get you off your game and make you forget about that person that had brought you from where you was.
Mm-hmm.